All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, June 1st. Happy June to everyone out there. We got a new month here. We got a 15-game MLB slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, when I go through each and every one of these games, I'm going to give you my lean on the side. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays, like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye on the pinned comment. That is where all of my final plays and updates will live. If you do want to fade me, or if you want to roll with me and ride with me, those plays are going to be in the pinned comment. In terms of yesterday, we needed it, ladies and gentlemen. We have a nice 3-1 night. We did have one push in there with Shea Langoliers, but that was a really juiced play anyway, so all good there. A 3-1 night. Got kind of lucky with the Mason win, so he gets scratched from the starting lineup, and I was like, all right, well, that's going to get voided, right? And then he comes in and pinch hits, doesn't strike out, and MGM credited us with a plus 130 win, so you know what? Sometimes you got to be lucky to cash, right? And we take it, a 3-1 night. Very, very heavy player prop night for me yesterday, but you know what? We don't force anything. We just find what we think are good plays, and it resulted in being player props yesterday. Also, in terms of what we have for a season update and a month update, still cruising right along in the MLB season. I know the last, 2 of the last 3 days seemed like we were hurting, but nonetheless, up 16 or 15.97 units on the MLB season. And last month, so the month of May, we actually picked up 7. So honestly, pretty good. We're kind of, with April being the first full month, May being the second month, we're kind of picking up like 7 units a month, which is great. The issue is that we picked up 7 units in, the first couple days of March, and then April with like half unit plays, right? So we were more, 50-50-ish sometimes once we started rolling with full unit plays. But nonetheless, the numbers speak for themselves. We're doing all right here. I think on the MLB season last year, we were up 28 units total. So off to a hot start here. But nonetheless, guys, let's go ahead and jump into, actually, we got to talk about the ride of the day, right? Unfortunately, Mark, you probably wish I forgot. Got to drop a womp womp here. Cedric Mullins, over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. You can see the reasoning and rationale. Loved the play from Mark. He also cashed the plus money one for us a couple nights ago, but this one does not come through. But again, 2 plus money plays he threw out. He hit one of them. Mark, you're profitable in your 2-game run there. But if you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it's simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Drop an absolute banger of a play, and I jump on board with one person's pick. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. If you win, we cheers, we celebrate, maybe drop some soundboard chings on it. If you lose, you get the womp womp. But if you do win, we continue to ride with your play until the wheels fall off. So go ahead and get those hashtag ride of the days in the comments. While you're doing that, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. We hit 76K yesterday. Thank you guys very, very much. But yeah, if you're new, hit that subscribe button. Let's jump into game number 1 here between Toronto and Pittsburgh. So yesterday's outing ended in a 5-3 win for Toronto. Like I said in the video, I wanted to get there for Toronto, but it was a high price tag. Should have backed Barrios. He pitched a nice game, 7 innings pitched. That was like on the verge of us throwing some coin on it, but we didn't. But nonetheless, today we got Yusei Kikuchi on the mound for Toronto, going up against Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller does have one redeeming spot here. I know he's had some good starts, some bad starts, but he pitches against lefties really, really well. Unfortunately, there's a lot more righties in this Toronto lineup, so that would be something that I'd make a path to try and get to Pittsburgh, right? But with Kikuchi on the mound, 3.25 ERA. At home this season, he's been pretty damn good. 0.97 whip, a FIP of 2.22, batting average against of 212, so that's all that's all great. I think we got to back him. Toronto's a better offense over the last 30 as well. One, I guess you could say, concern is that Keller's going to throw a lot of fastballs. Toronto, not a very good fastball team. Kikuchi throws a lot of fastballs. Pittsburgh, a good fastball team. So if you're on the Pittsburgh side, that's your argument. But for me, I'm going to take the better offense as well as the better pitcher here. For a price, I know it says minus 162 on our graphic, but you could snag it right now, minus 154. So this could be a nice, first 5 play potentially if you don't like it full game, because both bullpens are very taxed, and it's not like either bullpen was great to begin with. So kind of an outlier, or anything can happen there. So maybe this is Toronto on the first 5 innings here in terms of a money line. Now, when it comes to a total, I'm going to lean slightly to the under. I could see a 4-3 game, but this may be something that we look at, potential like Pittsburgh team total under in the first 5, kind of backing Kikuchi here. All right, Baltimore taking on Tampa Bay. We have Bradish on the mound for Baltimore. He's got a 1.75 ERA, 1.05 whip on the season, 2.12 FIP with a 3.1 expected FIP, and a 176 batting average against, which is all really, really good, obviously, right? I will say we're looking at a guy here that his numbers aren't as tremendous on the at home as they are on the road, but nonetheless still a good pitcher going up against Taj Bradley, who is also having a good season here. He's got a 3.13 ERA with a .91 whip, a 3.22 FIP, a batting average against of 183. So two pitchers that should be able to do their thing, I guess you could say, on the mound today. The one thing I'll say is that Taj Bradley, we saw it in, 2 starts ago against the Red Sox. Like, he'll deal, and then somehow it gets a little shaky, right? Kyle Bradish been a little bit more consistent. Over his last 5 games, a 1.0 flat ERA, averaging almost 7 strikeouts per game. So I'm gonna lean towards Baltimore, but I'll tell you guys, in full transparency, I tried like hell to get to Tampa Bay today, because I do think it's a decent spot for their price at plus 140, right? So I couldn't get there. Overall, I just think Baltimore does have the ability to potentially get to Bradley here later on in the game. Last time they faced him, which was last year, so take it with a grain of salt. 5 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 1 home run, got him up to nearly 20 pitches per inning by the time that he came out. So I do think that, this seems from bird's eye like, hey, a good spot to back a good pitcher, and Baltimore's offense isn't very good against righties over the last 30. But to me, Baltimore, better bullpen, better pitcher, better offense, had to lean towards them. And honestly, the price tag at minus 162 is like just beyond, or just before, I actually should say, being like, oh, that's too much of a price. I could see us making this a final play, but again, I kind of tried like hell to get to Tampa Bay just because of that price, but nonetheless, couldn't really do it. So give me Baltimore here on the money line. I talked about, the full game, I guess, but this is probably a first 5 play if we do roll with it. This is a Baltimore team that Kimbrel went yesterday, Cano went yesterday, Colombe went yesterday, Webb, Perez, like all of their arms in the bullpen pretty much went yesterday. So definitely something worth noting there. We have a total at 7.5 right now, which I think that's more or less backing. I would say more or less backing the starting pitcher, right? So I think if you're going to go under in this game, you want first 5. Give Taj Bradley his 5 innings. Give Bradish his 5 innings. But full game, like I could see both bullpens, fumbling this one. So I'm going to lean over full game. But what I like more is probably a slight lean towards the under on the full 5, or the first 5. All right, Boston taking on Detroit. Red Sox get the win yesterday. Was at the game. Nice to see that. Today, I think things could go a little bit different. You have Cooper Criswell on the mound, who I'm not going to try and like rag on or anything. He does struggle against righties. There's 6 righties slated in this Tampa lineup, so that's definitely something worth noting. But he's going up against Reese Olson, so Cooper Criswell aside, right? Reese Olson is the better pitcher. I'm not going to say they have the better bullpen because, they don't. This Red Sox bullpen, only 2 guys went yesterday too, so they should to some degree be pretty fresh, right? But overall, I think Reese Olson gives you like 6 strong innings or so, and the Tigers pull this one out. So for the price you're getting the Tigers at, which is, let's see, we had the updated line just a second ago, minus 112. I do think this is the move with a guy that's a stud on the mound. Olson, I also don't mind his under 2.5 earned runs, even though this Red Sox offense had 7 runs yesterday. 2 games prior, 1 run, 0 runs, so it's not like they're this offensive powerhouse, and they're averaging 4.33 runs for so far on the season. If you cut that in half, right, assume starter, bullpen, they should give you 2 runs, even if Olson has what we'd consider it as an outing that isn't all that great. But the dude's allowed 2 earned runs in his last 5 starts. So I do think that this could be a good spot for Reese Olson. In terms of odds, what we're getting at minus 121, I don't mind that at all. That's on Caesars and MGM right now. So yeah, give me Reese Olson under 2.5 earned runs. Give me the Tigers on the money line. And then I think in terms of a total, I'll ride the sort of the mindset that I'm going with right now, the under as well, which we've been taking a couple unders so far. Hopefully this isn't just a total under video, but I do think the Red Sox could probably score like 3 runs total maybe in this game, or at least 2 through the first 5. So maybe there's an under in the first 5 like we talked about with the other games as well. Maybe I'm a dummy, though. Maybe you got to fade me. Maybe I'm putting too much weight into Reese Olson, but that's where we're leaning in terms of this game. But to be honest, where I'd rank those, I'd probably go Olson's under, money line, and then the first 5 under, and then the full game under, right? So I do think that Olson and Tigers money line are probably the 2 that, if we were to roll with one in this game, it's probably going to be that. Real quick, guys, before we do move on to the rest of the slate, I do want to shout out the merch we have here on the channel, the Fade Me merch. This is the Gambler collection that I'm rocking. You can see we have a new collection, the Blackout collection. All these are really, really limited. Appreciate everyone that's picked up a couple so far, but we got tons of stuff over here on the store, guys, if you do want to go and check it out. This is stuff that I'm super, super proud of. Again, this is the tee that I'm rocking right now, the Gambler logo boxy tee. One of our best launches yet, the Gambler 2.0 collection. The They Don't Boo Nobodies is one of my favorite shirts we've ever created with the little, this is just what you got to say to your haters, right? They don't boo nobodies. But, guys, tons of stuff over on fademe.store. If you guys do want to pick something up, it'd be much appreciated. It's cool. My phone gets a notification. If I have the sound on, it goes cha-ching through Shopify, which is how we host the store. It literally makes my week just hearing that. So, appreciate everyone that has picked up some Fade Me merch in the past. And if you have not yet, consider doing it. Like, this is legitimate. I don't know how to – can you hear it? Probably not. It's legitimate stuff. This is not just crappy t-shirt, logo slapped on, one wash, it's going to peel off. This is stuff we take pride in. So go pick up some merch, guys. Fademe.store. I'll put a link in the pinned comment. But if you've been supporting for a while and, you watch every day, maybe consider picking up some merch on this fine Saturday. So go ahead, fademe.store. Next up, we have Cleveland taking on Washington here. Cleveland, heavy favorites, I guess makes sense. They win 7-1 yesterday, and they've been lively on the mound too. Has been pitching really well at home. One flat whip, 2.96 FIP, an expected FIP of 2.84, batting average against 2.27. The K rate is almost at 30. Going up against Mitchell Parker, who has had some good starts. Do not get me wrong there. But he's been kind of just like giving you consistent 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs. And at home, on the road, it's not all that great for him. So I do think that there is what would seem like a fairly strong pitching advantage here for Cleveland. And Washington's, if we flash to the dashboard here, right? Washington, they're batting against right-handed pitchers in the last 30 days. Overall, right-handed pitchers and righties away. Doesn't really compare to what we see on the Cleveland side of things, right? This is like a reddish orange, and this is a greenish, I guess, yellowish green across the board. So I do think that you have two pitchers that you could make the argument very, very, tight, I guess. But again, home, away, and then you look at this too, right? Left-handed hitters. There's a lot of lefties in the Washington lineup. Looks like that is where Ben Lively kind of thrives. So I'm going to lean Cleveland in this spot. Minus 155 is a big price tag. It's over on DK right now, but honestly, other books have this in the 60s. So I think this could be a decent look here, but do we want to pay minus 155? We did cash a minus 155 play yesterday, so we're not above that. But overall, like this is a spot in which am I fading Washington, or do I love Cleveland in this spot that much? That's what I have to kind of figure out here. But nonetheless, guys, Cleveland money line is going to be the lean from a total perspective. Again, yesterday was 7-1. I don't really expect Cleveland to go out there and put up 7 runs again. If they do, great, because we like them on the money line, right? But Washington probably at least squeaks off. I mean, I would assume that they score maybe 2 or 3 runs throughout the entire game. So I'm going to lean slightly towards the over, thinking this is like a 6-3, 5-4 type of a game. Even though I am fading the Nationals offense to some degree, I do believe that they're going to score more than they did yesterday. One player prop here to note, David Fry over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He's averaging 3.7 hits, runs, and RBIs over his last 10 games here, and he bats .413 with a WRC plus of 281 against left-handed pitchers. He's going up against a lefty today, so I think this could be a good spot for him. I also don't mind potential look at an under, but again, I do think that the bats from Cleveland should be decent today. But Gabriel Arias under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. But I think I like that David Fry play a lot more. The dude has been crushing it lately, and he's got a dream matchup today. All right, Kansas City taking on San Diego. I know the graphics a little messed up. Any underdogs have an equal sign next to them, but you know what? We got to battle through and get through that today. On the mound, we got Alex Marsh going up against Joe Musgrove. I think this one's worth a flyer on, and it's not really a flyer, right? Even odds, but you're getting a plus next to the number. I think that this is worth a flyer on Kansas City, who obviously, game 1, which was yesterday, right? They lose 11-8. So the offense was there. And that was a 9-run, was it 8th or 9th inning, but 9-run inning from San Diego. So you look at that and it's almost like, oh, that was a slugfest all day, right? No, San Diego scored 2 runs through like 8 innings or 7 innings, whatever it was, and then had a 9-run blow up inning. So this should have been a spot for Kansas City. I think they were winning like 3-2 heading into the 8th. They had a big 9th inning as well. So I'm not saying San Diego's the only one that did that, but overall, my point being that for plus money with what I deem a better pitcher on the mound, give me Kansas City here. And from a total perspective, this is one I'm not totally in love with, but I'll lean towards the over just based on what we saw yesterday. I like Alec Marsh, I do. Joe Musgrove, not so much really, but I think both bats can get to 8 runs. Both offenses can get to 4 runs today. And obviously, you can't end in a tie, right? So I think we get to 9 runs at some point in this game. Player prop here, and because he's not having the best of seasons overall, he's been hitting better as of late, but Hunter Renfroe over 0.5 bases here. He has a great stat record here against Musgrove. 300 average, 900 slugging, 9 total bases, 2 extra base hits. This could be a spot in which we like that. Musgrove's batting average against right-handed batters jumps to 306. So maybe we take a pull here, but again, Hunter Renfroe not having the best offensive seasons. He started to heat up, but he's been going, he started the season decent, and then he went into this mull, right, a little slump. Now he's heating up again. Over his last 10 games here, he's averaging 1.7 bases, so definitely something worth considering, but is his sort of season-long overall struggle something that we hesitate on? Perhaps. Next up, we have Milwaukee taking on Chicago. Milwaukee wins 12-5 yesterday. Not really that shocking there, right? We did see Chicago kind of battle. I guess that what they after 5 innings they were up by 1 I believe, but Milwaukee had a decent get to the bullpen of Chicago. But I think I'm going to kind of ride what we saw yesterday and look at a potential of Chicago for plus 120 and beyond, depending on your sports book, of a first 5 money line here. This is due to the fact that Garrett Crochet is on the mound, who I do really think has some potential and is good. He's allowed 3 earned runs total through his last 5 starts. He's got a 0.6 ERA over that stretch. But even on the season, 0.93 whip, 3 flat FIP, an expected FIP of 2.5, batting average against of 192. He is going up against Robert Gasser, who has had some seriously good numbers at home this season. But yeah, I'm going to trust this. I'm going to trust Crochet to kind of keep this game either close or have us be able to pull this one out for plus money. So you know what? I'll sound the psycho alert alarm if you want, but I think this could be a spot in which, Chicago wins the first 5, 2-1 or something crazy like that. In terms of the total, I guess I'll lean towards the full game under. I'm not necessarily sitting here backing these bullpens, but overall, I do think that this is a low-scoring first 5. So sure, we could just roll with that if we feel a little bit better. But to me, I'm really kind of putting a lot of faith into what Garrett Crochet could do out there. So I think that it's going to be I don't think they're going to go out there and score a bunch of runs in the in the 7, 8, 9 inning. They did yesterday, so I might be talking out of both sides of my mouth here, but to me, I'm going to lean full game under. But I could see me sprinkling Chicago first 5 here for decent odds. One player prop that I do like, and he didn't hit for us yesterday, but I think you're getting decent odds today. Now, he's going up against Crochet, who is very good against right-handed batters, and Willy Adames is the guy that I like to get a hit today. He had 6 at-bats yesterday. Nothing. The dude was cruising before. I think it was 14 hits or something over his last 9 games. So that could be a spot. But again, he doesn't bat lefties well, and Crochet is a good pitcher. But to me, it could be a spot in which it's he's not going to go hitless in 10 straight at bats, right? Atlanta taking on Oakland. Not much to say about this one. Chris Sale on the mound going up against Aaron Brooks. This is probably some sort of a parlay piece, but even that in the minus 300s, this in the LA game today, probably not all that much worth considering because I can't really formulate a path to Oakland here in this spot. Would I like to? Sure, but I don't think it's really realistic to kind of to almost force getting on their train. You know what I mean? So I'll lean towards the Braves, but it would have to be in some sort of a parlay. And then in terms of the total, I'll give you the under just because I think Chris Sale is going to fare pretty well today, but clearly not the most interesting game in my opinion. All right, real quick before we do move on to the rest of the games, I want to shout out BetMGM. If you guys are not over on MGM yet, you should seriously consider doing so. They have a great deal going on for first-time bettors. Your first bet, if it does not hit, you get up to $1,500 paid back in bonus bets. Really, really cool stuff. And what I love about them, we've been talking about it for the NBA, but same thing for the MLB. Their same game parlay odds beat almost anybody. It's crazy. FD, DK, we've shown it more on the NBA videos because we're doing same game parlays for those every game. But man, oh man, do their same game parlays look amazing. So if you like to parlay and everything like that, go check out MGM. They also have great odds just from their straight bets perspective. But I'm always telling you guys, you shouldn't be, isolated and handcuffed to one sports book, because that minus 160 versus minus 150 on another book, or hell, plus 105 versus minus 110 on a book, like that can make the world of difference over time. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. So you should diversify your portfolio, add some more books to your arsenal, and I think MGM is definitely one to do so. So go ahead and click that link in the pinned comment, sign up for MGM, and again, you get that deal right there. Pretty damn cool. But their same game parlays are really what I would stress to you guys, have some serious value. The one we hit for game number 5 in the NBA, we got at plus 337. Granted, it was with a boost, but prior to, it was like plus 225. On FD and DK, it was under plus 200. Like, that makes a hell of a difference in the long run. Go check out MGM, guys. Link in the pinned comment. It'll auto-apply the deal and everything like that. Let's go ahead and jump back into the rest of these games. Let's get moving. Houston taking on Minnesota. Valdez on the mound for Houston, going up against Joe Ryan. Yesterday, Minnesota with I didn't think it was going to be, I mean, I like the fact that we see an under out of 2 good pitchers, but Ronald Blanco really didn't get off to the best start or anything like that. And today, I do think that there's a strong pitching advantage, even using the dashboard, which, by the way, guys, become a channel member, you get this thing every single day. New link for those members that are looking for last month's. It's June, so you now have a new link. I posted it on the community tab, but become a channel member, $2.99 a month. Join button right next to the subscribe button. But overall, look at this. Like, Joe Ryan having himself a year. Framber Valdez, I always said last year, I feel like he lucked out in a lot of situations. But you know what? He's not exactly doing all that great. He does pitch. You can see against righties a little bit better. There are a bunch of righties in this Twins lineup, but I think this is a spot in which we can kind of look at the Twins for plus money again. Plus 110. They've won 8 of their last 10, playing better baseball than Houston. Do I think Houston has better bats in the lineup? Yes. I think that this Minnesota team, they're batting well, but it's almost like, if I were to bet on which team continues to stay on that field and one drops, that type of thing, I'd say Houston stays there and then Minnesota's bats drop at some point in the year. But right now, no. And if you're going to give me plus money next to Joe Ryan's name on a Minnesota team that's obviously playing good baseball, I'll take them. When it comes to a total here, I don't hate looking at the over, just because, again, like, I think Houston puts more runs up. Even though Joe Ryan, I think that they're going to put, 2-3 runs up today at minimum. And hopefully the Twins can continue to do what they're doing, maybe get to Valdez, and we could see like a 4 to give me 4-4. It would hit this, and you still got to score an extra run, right? So I do think that this could be like a 9-run total, not necessarily a floor, but at the max, which 1.5 runs of what I predict compared to the total, I think it's something that we got to consider. All right, Mets taking on the Snakes here. This is an interesting one, honestly. Sean Manaea on the mound for the Mets, who Arizona does not hit lefties all that well. Slade on the mound, Slade Ciccone on the mound for Arizona. New York does hit righties a little bit better than they do, or a lot bit better than they do lefties, but when hitting righties at home, they're really not all that great. So I did go back and forth in this one. The Mets have now won 2 games in a row in this series, right? They do still have a game 4, so I get that. But I think Arizona pulls one out here, and they're the plus money team. So if I don't love the Mets offense, if I don't love Sean Manaea here, I think it's worth saying, okay, you know what? Screw it. Pull trigger on the Diamondbacks, right? At least in terms of a lean. I'll continue to look at this one. I will say, even using the dash here, you can see that the Diamondbacks on the road do hit lefties really well. So maybe that's sort of a redeeming quality there. But this could be worth a plus money flyer. From a total perspective, I think if the Diamondbacks were to win, it's like a 4-3 game at most. So I'm going to lean under as well. That's not backing the pitchers. It's somewhat more fading the offenses, if that makes sense. Miami taking on Texas. I said it, and it's what ultimately kept me off pulling the trigger yesterday for Texas here, because I thought that seemed like it could be a trap game. Like, those odds just didn't seem to make sense to me, and look what happened, right? Miami ends up pulling that one out 8-2. You got 2 and 2/3 from Urena. Like, yikes. Sixto Sanchez wasn't all that tremendous either. Today you have an even more interesting line, but I guess it's not as interesting given the fact that Texas kind of showed that they were going to put up 2 runs yesterday, right? Today I'll lean towards them slightly. I'm not pulling. I doubt this is a final play. Telling you guys that right now. Lorenzen going against Ryan Weathers. This is it shouldn't be a pitcher's duel. Should be an offensive duel. Miami's bats against righties have been better than Texas's bats against lefties in the last 30 days. But overall, like, I still just have this, like, I don't, both these teams, I have a sour taste in my mouth, so it's hard to predict, right? But I think Texas is just at some point going to become the more consistent team. Like, that shouldn't be that earth-shattering. They're 27-31 or something, and Miami is under 500 on the season by like 15 games. So Texas should be the better team, but they haven't necessarily shown it in this series, right, after one game. I'll still lean towards them. From a total perspective here, I want to lean the over because I don't like either of these pitchers, but I don't think that I can, like, sit here and be like, these bats are going to just put up 4 apiece. So I'll lean under, but I'm telling you guys kind of, in the first place that I don't think these become final plays. This is a weird series with weird lines to me. Seattle taking on the Angels, a 5-4 win for Seattle yesterday. In terms of what we're looking at today, they have Bryce Miller on the mound going up against Reed Detmers. Seattle actually hits lefties fairly well, relatively speaking, I guess. Whereas the Angels kind of losing what they had for a little while, more in the bottom third of the league in terms of all offensive categories last 30 days against right-handed pitchers. And Bryce Miller's been pitching really well at home. I shouldn't say the one concern, but Reed Detmer is going to throw a lot of fastballs. Almost 55% of his pitches are fastballs. Seattle, 5th worst runs above average per 100 fastballs seen. So that isn't all that great to see. But you know what? I'm going to trust Bryce Miller in this spot. Trust that Seattle's not going to need to score a bunch of runs to get this win today. And they can kind of just ride him, I guess, suppressing the offense of LA. So I'll lean towards Seattle here in this spot. Overall, I think this is probably like a 4-3 game maximum, which is sweating it out, right, in terms of what we're looking at from a total perspective, but I have to lean towards the under. I'd like to sit there and think that Seattle gets to Detmers, because last time he pitched, we cashed with ease on his over 2.5 earned runs. But again, like, this is not I'm back in the picture here in Bryce Miller. I don't really want to try and brag about Seattle's offense and say they're going to get to Detmers. Like, he could have a good game. It wouldn't necessarily surprise me. I'm just hoping that the Angels have even worse of a game, but he's been bad lately. 5.2 ERA over his last 5 starts. So Seattle could put up a decent amount. I just don't know if it's worth taking that chance on their offense. Chicago taking on Cincinnati. We should have some rough weather in this game. Rough like a dog. Because let's see, we have the weather update somewhere here. Yeah, 70% chance of rain, wind blowing in pretty strongly, under 60 degrees. So this should be a crappy weather game. I do like the under with 2 pitchers that can definitely, go out there and pitch well. We have Steele on the mound going up against Hunter Green. Hunter Green very good on the road this season, which is great. Steele has some good spots, has some bad spots, but overall, like, neither one of these offenses is ultimately totally impressive, and I'm hoping we just get a good outing from Steele, and I guess I could say the same thing from Green. Both these guys have the ability to go out there and get slammed, but Green a little bit more consistent. Steele, I think, has a couple, don't have it in the notes, but a couple starts where he has like 6 earned runs or like 4 innings, so we don't want that. But, with the weather being considered here and the fact that neither one of these offenses is all that tremendous, I'll lean towards the under. I want to make a case to get to Cincinnati here, but I think the Cubs knot this one up to 1-1 through 2 games. So I'll lean towards the Cubs. But overall, honestly, the Cubs bullpen blew that game yesterday. We had Carne Asada under 2.5 earned runs. He cashed. So I think the Cubs hopefully can kind of, squeak by in this one. Give me the under and the Cubs. That under, I wish we were getting like 7.5, but obviously with the weather, the books know. They just know. All right, Philadelphia taking on St. Louis. This should be one of the better pitcher duels that we have all slate here today. We have Sonny Gray on the mound for St. Louis going up against Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez, probably his worst start, right? Last outing against Colorado. I think the Phillies are able to, keep it going here. They win yesterday, 4-2. They were minus 199, so obviously that wasn't something that we're going to pull the trigger on. But I do think at the price tag today, at minus 140, I could see that. Minus 142 over on FanDuel right now is the updated line. St. Louis has been playing well. I said that when breaking down the last game. It's like, I'm not taking away from them, but this Phillies team went in a little bit of a rut, but they've won 2 games in a row, and I think they're going to get back to being what they were. So, and again, I can be honest, right? this Phillies team has made me so much money this year that I feel like they're just like a safe play every time. Sonny Gray's filthy. I get that, but I'm still going to go with the Phillies. I think they have a better offense. Ranger Suarez pitches from the left side. St. Louis not as good against lefties as they are against righties, so there's definitely a positive there. And last time Ranger Suarez pitched 6 innings, 1 earned run against the Cardinals here. 17 pitches per inning, 5 Ks. Sonny Gray, last time he pitched against St. Louis was earlier this year, and he went 5 innings, 0 earned runs, 5 Ks, 12 pitches per inning. So if you compare last start versus last start, Sonny Gray definitely has an edge. But, you know, it helps my argument to mention that Ranger Suarez has been on fire, and he was okay last time against them. So give me them today. I might look at the first 5 under in this spot. I don't necessarily want to get to either bullpen, and not necessarily because I'm sitting there being like these bullpens stink or whatnot. Both bullpens I would say are middle of the road, but both closers, you know, co-closers went for the Phillies yesterday. St. Louis, I think only one guy out of the pen pitch, so that's an advantage there. So Sonny Gray and Ranger Suarez are really what I would target if we're looking at an under. All right, San Francisco taking on the Yankees here. Logan Webb on the mound for San Francisco, going up against Cody Poteet, who I believe this is his second start, if I'm not mistaken. Came up and pitched pretty well against Cleveland for his first start. I think he's only appeared once. I know that's his only start on the season, but I don't think he's pitched out of the pen or anything either. But nonetheless, this is a better offense from New York than San Francisco, and I get that, and I hear that. They won 6-2 yesterday. But at the same time, this is a San Francisco offense that was batting well, and you have Logan Webb on the mound, who in 60 plate appearances against his current Yankees roster, 196 batting average against, a WOBA of 246. So this could be a spot in which we say, okay, you know what, San Francisco, all you. My issue is, are we missing an opportunity to get the Yankees bats at plus money? Like, that could be a real consideration, right? Because they have the young kid on the mound, like, do we just say screw the pitchers and roll with the bats? To me, I do think that I'm going to lean towards, I almost want to lean towards doing that, to be honest. I think that this is a spot in which, if you're on San Francisco, I get it. I think it's the more middle of the road and more traveled path. But for plus money to be able to get the Yankees, who can go out there and score, 5+ runs, regardless of who's on the mound, could be a spot. And this kid did look okay, right? In his start. So it's tough, but yeah, I'm going to lean towards the Yanks here. I almost have gone back and forth multiple times this morning. So keep an eye on the pinned comment, but I think we could roll the Yankees plus 105. I don't think you're going to get that price very often. So it may be a good opportunity to pull trigger. Total-wise here, we do have, again, a good pitcher on the mound for San Francisco, and if the Yankees win, I do think that they're going to win similar to yesterday. Like, their offense is going to do maybe not as well yesterday, but they probably will go out there and score, 5 runs, and I'm kind of thinking that if they win, this is a Poteet spot where he pitches well, so I could see, like, say, for the sake of this line, 4-3 game, but maybe, like, I don't know, it's so tough, 7.5. Give me I'm going to say 5-3 max, so I'll lean towards the under, but obviously my prediction is a half run over, which doesn't make much sense, but what I mean is that if he's going to pitch well, he's going to let up 3 runs type of thing, and hopefully the Yankees bullpen can keep going, and if the Yankees win, it's because they rode their offense, so I think this is going to be a one-sided affair. Maybe we look at Yankees team total. That's probably a better way to say it, right, than trying to finesse that 7.5 line. All right, similar to the Braves here, we could have rolled with that parlay yesterday. We didn't. I think today those odds are going to be absolutely terrible. Let's see. Dodgers, Braves parlay. Let's throw it in, just see what the odds would be. Yeah, minus 140, not even really worth it. But I think the Dodgers can get this one done. Obviously, they have Yamamoto on the mound going up against Cal Quantrill. Enough said there. They're kind of priced out. I don't love them on the run line either. I don't love betting run lines when you have to pay a stupid price for it, right? Like minus 160 for minus 1.5. Yikes. The one thing is, actually, now that I'm saying it, that parlay that we could have thrown in yesterday, the Dodgers didn't even win yesterday, right? So good thing we didn't, but could be a spot today. I think that they bounce back after a loss is what I was getting at here. In terms of a total, 8, I think Yamamoto does well, but I don't see how the Dodgers don't put up at least their share in this one, so slightly lean towards the over, but again, if you guys watch every day, I get kind of bored of breaking down these Dodgers games because their odds are just so ridiculous, but nonetheless, it's going to wrap for today, so hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.